I'm not at home, so I don't think the audio quality will be fantastic, but I'm in the mood to do a pod. And the starting off point, what's been on my mind with a prompt from a friend, is the road to success is a lonely one. And this is not something I came up with myself. I've heard it over and over again from the media I consume, from successful people. They often talk about like snakes in the grass, and that refers to reason number one. Best case scenario, you do get successful, and then everyone's gonna want to be your friend. And it's not because of you, it's because of your success. And that kind of, I could picture myself in that scenario, and I don't know, that would make me feel kind of like hollow. Number two, by definition, most people are normal and average. And to become successful, you're going to have to make choices that are different from them. And these choices, in my experience, I'm not even successful, and I've made a lot of choices that have alienated me, that have separated me from the pack. Whether that's quitting drinking for like 6 months, like that's what most people do on the weekends. So if you're not doing that, I don't know if lonely is the right word, but yeah, you're probably going to be a little lonely because you're not doing what everybody else is doing. And number three, before we go to number three, this is kind of hitting on the same idea. Alex Hormozi, I think that's his name. He has a video on YouTube, I think I saw it, called The Lonely Chapter. And so, right now, if you're listening, you're most likely living a normal life. And if you decide to chase a dream, to try to do something big, you're going to have to make choices that will separate you from your friends. You're going to feel like you don't fit in with your own friends anymore, which is tough. And that alone is enough to make people not take this path. And that is another thing. This path is not for the weak. This is the hardest path, but I also think it's the most rewarding path. And I'd argue in some cases, not even in some cases, I'd argue it's the only path. Because I don't believe there's any honor in living small, in not chasing your dreams out of fear. And it's like, to become successful, you have to forge your own path. Everybody is kind of on like the highway, and you're going to have to get off at an exit, and you're going to have to figure it out on your own. But Alex Hormozi also talks about how like there's this in-between stage. And the in-between stage is like when you're in between your current group of friends and like the group of people you'll find once you're like fully living your dream. Once you get a little bit of success and you're able to surround yourself with like-minded people that believe in you, people that support you. And that's going to be great. I'm very much looking forward if I ever get to that stage. But I'm not there yet. And I'm like, when you post on Instagram, if someone else was posting on Instagram and was like, I'm starting a podcast, I'm going to be like, brother, are you serious? Like, even me who's starting a podcast, if someone else were to do it, I'd be like, blood, what do you got to say? And that's why I understand it. Because if someone, like, even when someone else, like, when I hear someone else is, like, making music, and I'm like, first instinct is, there's no way you're going to make it. And I don't like that about myself, but that is how I think most people think and operate. And I think, yeah, I don't know I don't know what I think about that quite yet. I'm trying to change it, and I think me chasing my own dream, one of my dreams, will help me. And I have, like this people have talked to me about my podcast now, and some people are like, hell yeah, man, I love what you're doing. And other people are like, making fun of it to my face. And that's fine. But it's not easy to really, like, take that, you know? I know they're not, like, seriously, like, trying to make me feel bad or anything. Like, if my friend started a podcast, I'd probably poke fun at it too. But it is, like, me having the guts, me being vulnerable enough to go after something big and go after something I'm really passionate about. And when people, like, do poke fun, I am sensitive, because it is like, if I had a job I didn't care about and someone makes fun of it, I don't care. But if someone makes fun of this, which I do really care about, that hurts my feelings. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of cons to the path to success. And you're hearing this from someone who is not successful. I mean, in a lot of ways I'm successful, but not financially. That's kind of the big one I'm still chasing. And I am 22 years old. I got time. But keep that in mind. But the path to success is a lonely road. And this path, like I was saying, this path is hard. It's the hardest path. It's not for the weak. But one quote that is burned in my brain forever, it was some guy on a podcast. I think it was the Diary of a CEO podcast. But he says, if you think the bill of winning is too high, wait till you get the bill of regret. And he says it in a way that's like, I said it and you're like, okay, I kind of see where you're coming from. But when he says it, you're like, damn. It hits your soul. It shivers your timbers. It ruffles your feathers. And yeah, I think about that a lot. And that's kind of, I don't know if that's the main reason why I do it, but I think about that a lot. It kind of relates back to the choose your hard. It's like, chasing your dreams is extremely hard, but I lived a life for a couple years where I wasn't chasing anything, and I felt like, what am I doing? Life gets boring when you're not doing something that excites you. And I found something that excites me. And I think you should find something that excites you. And that doesn't have to be something massive. I think the important thing is that it should just be something you love. Like, if you want to be a doctor and help people, that's amazing. You should go do that. For whatever reason, I've always had big dreams. I was hanging out with some friends this weekend, and they told me I knew I was taking some long pauses in between when I talk, but it says that they were saying it affected their ability to listen, which is not ideal. And maybe I'll try to work on it, but my brother, I'm thinking. I'm just like talking to a phone right now, and I'm trying to weave together some ideas. This ain't easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And that's another quote. I think my brother is responsible for that quote, but it spread throughout the camp I used to work at, specifically in my unit. my brotherhood, the SBU. But he said, it ain't easy. And then the latter part of the quote that a lot of people don't know is, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And that's why most people do not chase their dreams. It's not easy. And the whole world will make you feel like you are crazy for chasing a dream. Even me. If you tell me, it's like, hey Wes, let me think of something. The big ones are like, if you were to be like, hey Wes, I'm gonna start making music, I'll be like, alright man. And then I walk away laughing. Because I don't know why. I think that's just the way we're all programmed. We're all programmed to not believe. And not believe in others, but also not believe in ourselves. And I don't like that at all. Because I think that's the main... All this shit sounds so corny in today's world, but it's like, that's the problem. Like, nobody believes in themselves. It's like, yeah, chasing a dream and actually completing it is incredibly difficult. And percentage-wise, you're not going to make it. Like, if you're trying to be a pro athlete, percentage-wise, you're not going to make it. And like, starting a successful podcast, percentage-wise, I'm not going to make it. But I'm really starting to believe in myself, and that's what keeps people going. And another thing is, you have to find I don't know if I've talked about this before, but you have to find the intersection between what you love, what sets your soul on fire, what excites you, and what you're good at. Like, I don't think it's my main dream, but being a professional athlete, being in the NBA, I think that might set my soul on fire. But I'm 6 feet tall. And I don't think it is what sets my soul on fire, because I just don't care that much. I would never put in the work it takes to be in the NBA. Never. Because I just don't care that much. Like, sports are cool. I'll watch them if they're on. But that's not what I dream about. That's not what sets my soul on fire. And for some reason, this is. Like, having a podcast where I can make jokes and help people, that would be, if I ever, made this into an actual thing, I wouldn't even be able to describe that in words, how much that would mean to me. And that's why I'm willing to put in the work. Because it's a whole lot of work. But a quote I know I said before is, the man who likes to walk will walk farther than the man who is walking somewhere. Like, if I was trying to get in the NBA, I'd be doing it to get in the NBA. But I'm doing this because I love this. And I think that's a big reason on why some people make it and some people don't. Like, the people who make it to the NBA are, not only the ones who dream about being in the NBA, but they're also the ones who are good at basketball. And the reason I think this is good for me is because one, I'm a yapper. Two, I think I'm funny and I like cracking jokes. And three, I think I have a lot of things to say that can help people. Like, I would also said being a professional musician, that kind of would set my soul on fire. I love music debatably more than anything in the world. Not anything, but it's up there for show. And I would love to be a rapper. I would love nothing more to like be on a stage and like have millions of people singing the words to my songs. And I've been in some songs and I can flow. But I also I don't know if I have a fantastic voice, a rapper voice. And more importantly, I don't know if I'm willing to put in the work to be a professional musician. At least not right now. And so that's why I'm not chasing that. If you're thinking, I don't know what my dreams are, I don't know what to chase, that's fine. Just like, start working on yourself and keep an eye out. Like, what do you really care about? What sets your soul on fire? And more importantly, what are you willing to put in the work to do? Because recording a podcast, this don't even feel like work to me. In the hours where I'm not recording the podcast, that's what feel like work to me. That might be a stretch, but that's when like the doubt creeps in. That's when the fear creeps in. That's when other people poking fun at my sensitive ass creeps in. And that's what I talked about before. Like, you need to find something where you lose track of time. Like something, and that's what this does for me. Like, this don't feel like work. And corny quote number 7. Corny quote number 7 of the pod. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. See, the road to success, like anything else, has its pros and its cons. But man, I feel like we've talked a lot about the cons. Should we talk about the pros? The pros are, you could get... And this is why I think like it's the only road. Just like imagining what it would be like if this podcast was successful. Like, if I made enough money to get by, and even more than that, if I like made enough money to like be rich just for doing this, like, that would be living. And that's the difference between living and surviving. Like, in my undergrad, I had a business degree. I could have gone into data analytics, and I could have survived, I think. But I don't know. I was always bad at doing stuff I wasn't passionate about, which has its pros and its cons. But I think I could have survived for a while. And even like being a therapist, that's kind of in between living and surviving, because I still would be helping people. But it would still feel like work a little bit, you know what I mean? But this, man, if this ever blew up, that's all I could ever ask for. I wouldn't want anything else. I would wake up every day and say, thank you, God. If I could get up and just record like, this shit is so easy for me. If I could just talk into a microphone, joke around. I'm probably going to have some guests on this pod pretty soon. And if I could just like joke around with people and that be the way I make money, that's it. Life complete. I would be content. I wouldn't want, like, nothing else would matter. Even if I was getting by paycheck to paycheck, like, I, for a long time, was terrorized by the B-movie. And that's not an exaggeration. it was in my mind a lot. And what I'm talking about is when Barry B. Benson, the main B in the B movie, played by Jerry Seinfeld in the B movie, his name's Barry B. Benson, and that's his character. In the B movie, his name's Barry B. Benson, and it's the B movie, and he's played by Jerry Seinfeld. He's kind of the plot of the movie is, and I should rewatch that movie because that's like, And I'm not just talking about that lady in the movie. I'm talking about the idea, because it's like he got to the end of B high school, which for B's ain't a long time. B's whole life is probably like 9 days. So B high school is probably like days 1 and 2. But they get to end of B high school, and they're like, all right, Barry B. Benson. That's the main character in the B movie. Barry B. Benson is played by Jerry Seinfeld in the B movie. His name's Barry B. Benson. They're like, hey, Barry B. Benson, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And he was like, what? I just finished B high school. I'm on day 2. How the hell am I supposed to know that? And I'm going to spend the rest of my life. And this applies to the Human movie, too. The one we're all in. It's like you will spend 40 hours a week, most likely, for 40 years of your life, most likely, doing this job. And you're going to do something that you don't love? What the fuck? How did you come to that conclusion? And I know how you did because it's scary, but man. What the fuck? That's half your life. That's half your life. Run the numbers. Do the math. Punch the numbers. That's half your life. And you're going to do something just to get like a paycheck? No. No. No! Sorry if that was loud. But like, what? I would rather be paycheck to paycheck doing something I love than have a boatload of money. Because you only have the other half of your life. You've already sacrificed half of your life. And when you're doing something that you don't love, it's taxing on you. So for the other hours in your life, you're going to be way less happy. Like when I was a data analytics major and I'd run into someone and they'd be like, oh, how's data analytics going? I'm like, ugh, I got to talk about this shit? I already got to act like I care when I'm there. And now I got to act like I care to you? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about how Fidelity, probably shouldn't have said that. I was joking. That was just an example company. That's not where I had my internship. But I didn't give a shit about the company where I was working at if they did well or not. Maybe slightly, so I'd still have a job. But other than that, I did not give a rat's ass. And then that trickled into the rest of my life because say you run into someone, they're like, how's work going? You're like, man, I gotta talk about this shit. And then you get home, and your wife's like, how was work? And you're like, like it's such a big part of your life. It's half your life. And it's really more than half your life because it trickles into the other parts. And I was at my internship, and I was terrified. I was scared. I was sitting in my cubicle. I actually had an office. And it was like a walk-in office, but every other intern sat in like the middle of the floor in like a cubicle, and I took an office. And no one else had an office that wasn't like upper management. But no one ever said anything. And I'm someone who's gonna try to push the limits a little bit. And I pushed, and they didn't push back. So I had my own office. And I was sitting in my office. I wasn't even in the cubicle. I was sitting in my nice office with my own desk, with my own drawers. Have you ever had your own drawers? I don't think so. But I had my own drawers, my own desk, my own computer. Like a lot of people at their job, they're like, I just want that corner office. It wasn't on the corner, but I had an office, and it did nothing for me. It did nothing for me. I was sitting in there every day, the whole summer, terrified. Terrified. I was like, what am I going to do? I cannot do this. I can't. This is not how I want to spend my life. And that's a pretty scary thought when you're 3 years into your business degree. But I truly believe it's never too late. And I'm living proof of that. I pivoted. Now I'm in grad school to become a therapist. And I'm much, much happier with that choice. I could be a therapist. I'd be willing to put in the work for that. Because I'd be helping people just by talking to them. I haven't even really done that, but maybe that won't feel like work to me either. Because I found something that I was passionate about. Helping people, talking to people. And I think I could be happy and content with my existence if that's how I spent my life. Because people have, like now, they hear I'm in grad school to become a therapist. They're like, oh, how's social work? How's becoming a therapist? And I like to talk about it. I don't think it would be quite as exciting as having a successful podcast, but I think I can live with that. And I think, like, genuinely, I don't think chasing some wild dream is for everyone. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know. I just know I think it's what I want to do. And you can also, I think there is some value in like showing the universe that you're serious about something, no plan B. And I might do that at some point. But for right now, I'm content with my plan B of becoming a therapist. And I can do this on the side. But if this thing ever got a little bit of momentum, and I've only released like 3 episodes so far at the time of this recording, and people have listened to me for like 13 hours. People have listened to me yap for 13 hours. That's wild. And that's what makes me think this thing has potential. But if this thing ever got a little momentum, I promise you, I'm putting it all on plan A. Because I'm willing to bet on myself. Something I talked about earlier, but didn't really dive into. It started with the quote, if you think the bill of winning is too high, if you think the price of winning is too high, wait till you get the bill from regret. And this is something I imagine myself like on my deathbed looking back and being like, man, I could have been great. And if I lived scared my whole life and I decided not to go after what I really wanted, that's the only way where I could feel like I failed life. And also, like I was saying before, I've spent time not chasing something, and I'm like, what am I doing? I don't feel good. I know I could be doing something, and I'm not. And at the time, those are bad feelings, but I think those bad feelings are telling us that we should be doing something great. Because I believe we can all be great. I said before, I don't know if we should all be chasing our dreams, But I do. I think we could all, and here's what I mean. I think everyone could be doing something they love. I don't really believe in like the idea that everyone is bought into of like work. There's certain parts of what you could do that may feel like work, but everyone should be doing something they love that makes them lose track of time, that sets their soul on fire. And I imagine a world very clearly where this could happen, and here's the 3 criteria for everyone that everyone would need to do. Find out what sets your soul on fire, what excites you, what you dream about. Number 2, what you're good at, what you have a natural ability to do. And number 3, find a way to combine those 2 things and also help people. As I said in the first podcast, if everyone helped people, everyone would have help and everyone would be happy, because happiness is a byproduct of helping other people. And I've heard that money is the root of all evil, and I was like, that sounds a little dramatic. But as I was thinking about this, I was like, we wouldn't even need money. Like, money just makes things so complicated and everyone's chasing it. But like, you just need like food, water, shelter, space. You just need food. You just need water. You just need a place to like sleep and hang out. And space. And this world has got a lot of space. Those like, man, we just need the basics. And now it's like we want to make a shit ton of money to buy a shit ton of shit that we don't need. It's like, what are we doing? Like, we don't need money. It could be like, say I gave you some good advice. You could be like, hey man, here's a cheeseburger. And I'd be like, thank you. And I would feel good knowing I helped you. And you would feel good knowing how happy that cheeseburger made me. And we'd both eat. I know that sounds radical. And I'm not saying we need to overthrow everything and like try to live that way right now, because that seems a little scary to me. I don't want no purge situation going on. But like my brother Gandhi said, I want to be the change I wish to see. Be the change I want to see in the world. And I'm just going to do my part. I also earlier was talking about decisions I've made that have alienated me. And one of them was quitting drinking for 6 months. And another one I did, and this was, a lot of people don't understand this, but I was in college, I was going out multiple times a weekend, and it got to the point where it was just too much. I was going out 3 times a weekend when I didn't even really want to go out. Maybe the first night, the second night, I was like, I'm not feeling it, but I did it anyway. And the third night, I was like, fuck it. And I wasn't in a good place. And every weekend I'd be like, I'm taking a break from drinking. And then that following Thursday would come around and I'm like, here we go. And so I buzzed my head. I shaved my hair off. And I not only did I buzz my head, I messed up when I was doing it. So I was basically bald. And I'm laughing now, but it certainly wasn't funny at the time. Because I had to walk around campus for the next weeks, months, basically bald. And the more wild thing is I don't regret it. It was something I felt like I needed to do because I didn't like what was happening in my life and I needed to make a change. And I buzzed my head as a sign of commitment because, like I said, every Thursday, the next Thursday would come around, I'd be like, here we go. But the next Thursday was like, I certainly didn't go bald for nothing. Hell no. If I did this for nothing, that's not an option. And that's exactly why I did it. And yeah, I didn't want to buzz my head. It was something that I felt like I needed to do. Another idea I want to talk about is you find out what you like by finding out what you don't like. So you should just start something. Like, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just know I wanted to do something. I started an Instagram page making like quick little videos, kind of talking about the same stuff I'm talking about now, but I like scripted them and I would say them into the camera and yeah. And it turns out not being exactly what I wanted, but a lot of people liked it, which is like, hey, this has some potential. There's something here. And I didn't like it because I didn't like having to like script it. But I never would have started the podcast, which I feel like is a much better fit, if I didn't do that. And I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was leaving high school, so I picked finance. And I very quickly learned, I even think I knew when I picked it that I didn't like it. But if you just start doing something, you're going to find out what you don't like. And once you find out what you don't like, you can go away from that and you will find what you do like. So just start something. And I understand that this whole podcast, it might not be what you want to hear if you are doing something that you don't love. But let me tell you something. I believe in you. When I was at my internship for the company that I definitely didn't say the name of before, I was miserable. And I was terrified. And I didn't even have someone like me telling me that they believed in me. I had nothing. I had nothing but myself. But I decided to take a chance on myself. I knew that I could do something more. And I'm proof that I could at least be a therapist, assuming I graduate, which I will, because I'm smart. And I even think I could do this. I think I could do anything. And I believe in you. You might not even, if you are doing something that you don't love, that's okay. I've been there. And I believe in you. And you don't even have to know what the thing you want to do is yet. Just start doing the first thing that comes to your mind, do that, and then if you don't like it, pivot. Pivot. Because I dream of a world. I already talked about it, but I truly believe everyone could just find something they're good at, find something they love, make it a way to help people, and bam. It would be a lot more simple without this whole complicated money thing. And I think the final thing I want to talk about is death. The whole reason that I'm willing to take a chance on myself is I'm gonna die. And I don't want to spend my life doing something I don't love. And I talked a little bit about before that without death, life would be meaningless. And I also think death is a hell of a lot less scary when you've made the most of your life. I'm going to say that again. Death is a hell of a lot less scary when you've made the most of your life. Like I was saying before, I think about myself on a deathbed when I know I could have been great and I just let fear get the best of me. And there would be no way to change that. You have a limited amount of time. You don't have forever. You don't have unlimited time. You need to act. You need to decide. When I shaved my head, I was listening to the song I Know by Travis Scott over and over and over again, and I didn't even know why. But now I do. And the part that I loved more than anything is I had to decide. I had to decide to act. I had to decide to do something. I had to decide to do something to change my life. And I changed my whole life. And think about say college, for example. I had a lot of fun. College is one of the hardest times of my life, if I'm being honest. But I had a lot of fun, and I feel like I learned a lot in college. I learned a lot the hard way. But I still learned. And I had some fun. I met some great people. So at the end of it, I was like, okay, I'm ready to move on. Also because I was excited about the next chapter of my life. But I felt like I did what I wanted to. And I think I'd feel similar about life if I was on my deathbed. The only way where I'd be terrified of death is if I didn't live the way I wanted to. And that's exactly why I'm going to live the way I want to. And that second part, I knew after college I was going to grad school, which I was extremely excited about. And that's why, like I was talking about before, life is so much more good, better, when you have something that excites you, sets your soul on fire. I promise, all these things come back full circle. I went to Amsterdam with a couple of my friends abroad, and we spent a day in a park. And we spent that day pondering life, pondering everything. And a couple of things came out of that day. I'll probably talk about that day more in the future. But for now, I'll share some of the insights that we got. Everything comes back full circle. And I think everything's connected. And for right now, I'm going to leave it at that. And the second one was everything has two sides. And I didn't realize it at the time, but now that relates to perspective. And also, like I've been saying over and over, I don't think anything in life is good or bad. It just has pros and cons. Those are the two sides. Also, the two sides could be the different perspective, the way you're looking at it, which is also so it's so important. The third thing is I knew I did not want to do business because I didn't love it. What do you do when you're dating a girl you know you don't love? You break up with her. Hopefully. If you have the courage to do so. But it is the right thing to do. And that was one of the best days of my life. I will talk about it more in the future, but that's for another day. if you're still listening, I want to say I thank you. I love you. Please, if you're listening to this on Spotify, give me a follow. If you like what I'm saying, tell a friend. But even if you don't, I love you, and I thank you for listening. It means the world to me. And I hope you chase your dreams, because you gonna die. Peace.